Income Tax Act. So according to Income Tax Act, interest paid by purely capitalized companies is not an allowable expense. Right. So if you read the resource that I shared with you about the definition of a thinly capitalized company, basically it's like this. A company has a capital structure. And capital structure is like this. It's composed of debt and equity. So equity involves equity includes both share capital, share capital and reserves. Okay. Now this is equity. Debt of a let me finish this. Sorry. Debt of a company, on the other hand, would have things like debenture. Debenture will have things like bonds, etc. So debt of a company is of this nature. Now, according to what I shared with you is that when this one, when debt is 3, this is 1, which means when debt is 3 times or more of the equity level, then that company is called a thinly capitalized company. Let me give you an example. So this is assuming all your debt is 400,000. The equity is 100,000. As you can see with this example, it means that, let me just put it here nicely. So here it means that the debt is 4 times the equity. Yeah, it means the debt is 4 times the equity. So this company is called thinly capitalized. It means the capital is thin because of the understanding that real capital is from equity. Yeah, there's an understanding that real capital is really equity because this is what represents ownership. So if a capital is more of debt than equity, then that one it is setting itself thin as far as capital is concerned. So if there's more debt than equity, then it is thinly capitalized. If debt is more than 3 times the equity, then it means that it meets the tax definition of a thinly capitalized company. So if a company is thinly capitalized, so what is the application? So we have seen and appreciated what a thinly capitalized company is. So how do you apply this concept? So we apply this concept here. According to the Income Tax Act, interest paid by a thinly capitalized company is not an allowable expense. You know, if you have a company which is thinly capitalized, then the interest expense, in accounting, interest expense is charged in the income statement report. However, tax law now says that interest expense will not be chargeable for tax purposes if the company is thinly capitalized, right? Yep. Now, uh, so this is the application. So let me put this here. Now, what will happen? The reason why this, I think we may need to know the reason. I like applying concepts through an appreciation of the logic behind it. So if there's a rule, you'd want to know why is this rule in place. Yeah, so I always want to know why. Why is this in the law? Why is the reason behind things? So the reason behind this is that a company which is still being capitalized has a lot of debt. So a company which is still being capitalized has a lot of debt. So the fear is that this debt, it is hard for a normal company to have a lot of that debt. Like if you set a company and your capital is, I mean, your your equity compared to your debt is like the debt is twice the equity. It would be hard for a bank to award you additional debt because they would fear that the company is not very pleasantly leveraged. So because of this, in a normal setting, a company cannot accrue that high amount of debt, though it is possible, but it is unlikely. And so the avenue, the means with which a company can acquire this high level of debt is if there is related party arrangement. So like let me give you an example. Let me say that you have a company. Your company is called Brookside. Your company is called Brookside. Okay, company. But on the other hand, this Brookside, if you look at, okay, let me say you have NCBA Bank. Let me say you have NCBA Bank. So you have Brookside Company, and Brookside Company is still capitalized. Let me say this is an example. Brookside Company is still capitalized, and you also have NCBA Bank. And if you look at the arrangement, the ownership, the ownership uh, is like this. The ownership of NCBA Bank is related to the ownership of Brookside Company. Okay, so that uh, it is easier for them. It is easier for them to get debt through NCBA Bank, and therefore to minimize, to reduce their tax liability because interest expense is tax allowed. So if I can get as much, you know, debt from NCBA, you know, NCBA can give me, and this is true by and this is and this agreement is by an extent true. NCBA is linked to Uhuru Kenyatta's, the Kenyatta family. Let me not say Uhuru Kenyatta. Let me say Kenyatta family. Mm, I so so Brookside, of course, and NCD that's like I have said. Now Brookside can get a loan from KCB, and KCB may charge Brookside, let me say, 10% interest. So let me say this is 10, this is 500,000, 500,000 loan, 500,000 loan, okay? But so this is KCB loan, okay? On the other hand, on the other hand, this will come to around 50,000, 50,000. On the other hand, Brookside can get a loan from NCBA because there's a related party arrangement. So 500,000 loan, and 30%, 30% interest, which will equal to 150,000. So you might be wondering why NCBA, which owns Brookside, would want to charge a higher interest to a sister company. But that is quite simple. It is mysterious but quite simple. It is so that Brookside company will get to charge a higher amount on their income statement because interest expense is allowable, and so their tax will go down. So let me give you an example. Assume that the income for Brookside for given year was, let me say income net income for given year was 200,000. 200,000. Now this net income was arrived at after charging interest. Now if interest charged was 50,000, um I want to adjust this kidogo. Let me not call this interest. Let me call this earnings before interest and tax. If the earnings before interest and tax was 200,000, and if interest is 50,000, then earnings before tax, which is taxable income, let me just call this taxable income, yeah, would be 200,000 minus 50,000, which is 150,000, because interest is allowable. So if earnings before interest was 200,000 and interest was 50,000, then taxable income or earnings before tax would be 150,000. On the other hand, if the interest expense was 150,000, then Brookside would get earnings before interest and tax of 200,000, and then this is what will happen. The interest now that will be charged on the earnings will be 150,000. So taxable income will only be 50,000. So as you can see, in this case, assuming all factors constant, assuming they are not allowable, they are not disallowable, then it means that tax payable for Brookside, tax payable in this case will be 30% 0.3 times 150,000, which is 45,000. 45,000. All right. While if it was 50,000, then the tax payable will be only 15,000. So for the same loan, Brookside will be motivated to get as much loan from NCBA, and NCBA will be motivated to agree to this arrangement, knowing that the sister company is reducing its tax liability. So it's basically the same person, but he's trying to support a sister company for tax liability purposes. I hope you're getting it. So to prevent this kind of shoddy arrangements, tax law now says that if the debt is twice more than equity, interest will not be an allowable expense. So that there's a limit. Without this limit, um, Brookside may get even as much loan as they want from NCBA. In fact, NCBA bank can just transfer as much reserve that they have to Brookside, knowing that Brookside may be saving on its or lessening its tax liability. So that's why there's a cap. There's a cap to address this arrangement. Okay, so how does it come? So so let me give you a workable example now. Now that you've understood it, a workable example. So I'm saying that, let me say that Brookside company's net income was 500,000. 500,000. Brookside Brookside Brookside's Brookside total equity was 300,000, and total debt was, let me say, 1 million. But before that, let me give another information. I could say that the net income was arrived at after charging interest expense of 450,000. Brookside's total equity was 300,000, total debt was 1 million. Required calculate or calculate Brookside's uh, taxable income. Okay. Yeah. So what you will do here is fairly simple. What you will do is like this. You will get Brookside. So this is what is required. Let me analyze it. So you'll get Brookside. So this is calculation for Brookside taxable income. Taxable income. So you start with the reported net income. So this is the accounting income, which let me say is you have given it the figure 500,000. Let me just put this column like this. Okay, so this is the reported net income. And you will add back this allowable. The disallowable here, okay, there's interest, but you will do a test. Is looks like a thin capital company or not, so you check the debt equity ratio. You'll find that the debt is more than 3 times the equity, because 1 million compared to 300,000, that is more than 3 times. Because 3 times is 900,000. So this is a thinly capitalized company. So for a thinly capitalized company, interest expense is not allowed. That does, like we said here, interest paid by thinly capitalized companies is not allowed as a allowable expense. Now, so this it means it is a disallowable. So we say interest expense. We add back interest expense. And that one will be the net income was arrived at after charging interest expense also. I think the net income was arrived at after charging interest expense of 450,000. So we will add this back. So we will add this back, and this one will be 450,000. And then we'll have, taxable income now. Our taxable income will be 950,000, which is 500 plus 450. Yeah, so that is how this rule works. That is the reason that is behind this rule, and this is the application that I have just showed you now. So I think you wrapped the concept around your head, that you're good to go. Otherwise, thank you and have a good day.